All right, I used my hacksaw blade, clamped the needle nose on there, sawed through her, so she's out of there. All right, we're gonna begin by pulling the steering column out, see what we need to do to convert this baby to electric power steering. All right, steering wheel's off. Use a steering wheel puller. There's a screw missing, looks like, on the turn signal switch. I'm gonna try and take all that apart. See if we can get the column apart. I have no idea what I'm doing here. That wasn't a screw missing, that's where the lever went. So I think I need to take this spring off, maybe, so this can slide out. I don't know. I'll give it a try. Okay, that worked. Got the spring off. I'm gonna guess this is the turn signal switch, so that spring held that arm on there. So I guess I'll take the turn signal switch out next, pull these screws out, see if I can get this off. All right, well, I'm not sure that I knew what I was doing. Well, I know I didn't know what I was doing, but it's out. So we can make the modifications necessary to put in the EPAS power steering. Stay tuned. Okay, I got a lot of measuring and cutting to do. I'm going to modify this tube into 2 pieces. Modify this guy also, and shorten this horn wire. Put the turn signal switch back in. I'll probably try and clean some of this paint off of this stuff. But yeah, got the whole steering column all apart. Now to begin modifications. Gonna have to do some cutting and welding. So I gotta cut this 22 5/8 there. And then this one will be I gotta write that on there. But that's gonna be to this line. And that will be 10 3/4. Let me write that on there. Okay, then I gotta cut this section out there. Then you gotta drill a 1/2 inch hole, a 3/8 inch hole there, one at 3 inches or 3.5 from there, and 3 inches from there. Then cut that little section out. And those 2 pieces should be done. Then I gotta cut this guy 18 inches from there. So, got a lot of cutting to do. All right, let's cut this baby down. Gonna have to grind that a little bit, a little crooked. A little crooked. Better? Better, I gotta cut this out now. That's been removed. We're going to get drill a couple holes. But first, let's it would help if you plugged it in. Looks pretty good. All right. Okay. Let's drill our holes. Half inch, 3/8. Okay, the 3/8 is this one. So the fourth hole in. Okay. Hole, slot, cut. leftovers. Some more holes for catching. Okay, thank you. All right, this cutoff shaft's going to go in here. I'll have to weld that coupler to that. This will go in here. I'm going to have to clock it to the gearbox per that slot. And these 3 set screws, clocking this, and then this end is going to go on here. This has a double thickness inside of it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to maybe remove that. In order for it to go on here. That's gonna be challenging. Okay. Well, I put this shaft in the lathe and I polished this end that we cut. It's still too tight. So we can get this piece. Show you. I can get it kind of started. I think I can press it on, but what I'll probably do is freeze this, and then we'll heat this up with the torch. Get it hot so it expands. We'll slide that on there, and then we'll weld it. And that'll be a press fit and welded, because we don't want that slipping. That splines the gearbox to the EPAS unit. All right, this inner piece with the channel in it is difficult to see, but it is split. So it's kind of spring tension inside this tube. I'm going to try and press it out. Of course, this screw threads into it, so I'll have to take that out. What I need to press it out, just probably, if I could push it down to here, cut this piece off, and push it back. So it just has to fit on that piece right there. And with the double thickness, it won't. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll try and use my press to push on it here. That's going to be, I don't know how I'm going to hold this. I don't know. That could take some figuring. I guess I could put something here that holds it up and push here to get that down. And hopefully it don't fling across the room and hit me and knock my eyeballs out. All right, that's next. So that socket, just to show you again, that socket went inside and pushed on that channel right there, which pushed that sleeve up. I just need to cut this off and then slide the whole thing back in. All right, we pushed her back in to where she was. All right, now that baby fits where it's supposed to. That slides all the way up on this sleeve. So, and this is for the horn wire to go through. And the turn signal wires can still go through. And then this shaft will go inside there. All right, I had this shaft in the freezer. I polished the end there. It is nice and cold. Just heating this guy up. This coupler needs to go on there, so I'm going to get it pretty hot, and hopefully it'll just slide right on there. Do this without lighting anything on fire. Alright, that didn't work as well as I thought it would, so I'm going to put it in the press and we'll press it down. Alright, I was really hoping that would just like slide right on there, but we'll try and get it to go. We'll press it on there. All right, that guy is on as far as it's going to go, and it is tight. I tried to press it back off, and it didn't want to come off, so I'm going to weld it anyway, but it ain't going to fall off. All right, there is a really ugly weld, but it's strong. It ain't coming off. I got good penetration into the shaft and on the part. All right, we're working on this, putting this gearbox back together. The shaft that I welded yesterday, that's going to go on here. These screws will hold it. I just got to make sure that it actually goes on. Hold it up. Okay, so we got Loctite to put on those. There we go. those are red Loctited in. This collar is on here. Now this is shaft, or tube, I guess. There's supposed to be some pins or whatever you want to call them on the gearbox that line up to those holes, but there are none. That's supposed to orient that, but they're not there. So we're going to have to just really crank this down tight so that doesn't spin. Because that's, once we clock all this, this will be bolted to that. So that's how that works. Stanley in the background. I don't know what he's doing. I'm going to mark these three locations, and we'll I don't reckon I have to drill a hole, and we'll just tighten it up against there. Since this doesn't, I would normally clock this, but there was nothing to hold this in position. I don't know if that dent is supposed to clear something. Getting these down against that tube so that it won't spin anyway. That'll hold that guy. Alright, let's go slide this in the car. Alright, very good. Anyway, let's get this guy. This shaft has a, I don't know what you call it. All right, I got that one shaft in that I'm gonna have to spline onto the unit. This tube slid on over the gearbox and this clamp tightened down. So all of that should be set. Now I gotta go on the inside of the car and put together. Some of my issue is this coupling gonna go on here. Sorry. Here, but that's gonna rub on the brake pedal. So I gotta figure out if I can move this over a little bit. I don't know. I hope so. I don't need much. Alright, difficult to see, but there's a piece of the casting up here that was hitting that bar, which is the dash support. I was able to sand that down, so I've got clearance. None of this is tightened down yet, but that's not hitting now. I think when I put this end on and bolt it in here, I can pull it over away from the brake pedal. So I'm going to see, once I get all this put in, then I may have to do something with the brake pedal, but let's see what happens. All right, so the unit, the EPAS unit is there. I tightened all those down on that tube. The tube's tightened to the gearbox. So this is all rigid. I may be able to move that a little bit when I assemble this part. I gotta figure out how to run the horn wire through. It used to go all the way through and come out in there. Now it can't do that, so I gotta look at that and then start assembling this end with the turn signal switch and the telescoping thing that'll slide on this D bar. So all that should go back together like factory, and then wired up. Okay, I was able, when I tightened this down, this battery's dead, but anyway, where is it? I was able to get clearance so the pedal doesn't rub. So that's bolted down solid, no rubbing. I think we're good. All right, I took a little lacquer thinner and got there was some paint on this, so we got that all cleaned up nice and back on. So now I gotta figure out how to put the rest of it back together. All right, I used my hacksaw blade, clamped the needle nose on there, sawed through her, so she's out of there. All right, now the fun job of feeding these wires back through that channel. So we got the turn signal switch mounted in here. Goes up top. It's gonna go over this ring into that hole, down the channel. So then when that gets all bolted together, you won't see them. But feeding them all through there is going to be fun. So I'm going to tape them together, put a wire on it, poke it through, and hopefully I can get it out the other end. All right, tinkering a little bit with the bird, but we got a roofing project going on here. They're roofing the house, so that's kind of cool. Getting that done. Got a new headlight switch. This one was new at some point also, but we couldn't get all the lights working right, so I don't know if it's bad, but we got a new one we're gonna try, and then I still gotta wire up the turn signal switch. The lights really weren't working right, so we'll try and get that sorted. and then I got to finish putting the steering column back together. But I want to mess with all that while it's easy to get to. All right, I'm not sure where I left off. Not sure where I left off exactly on the last clip. I know I was testing. I put the headlight switch in, and I got a short somewhere. So I printed out some more wiring diagrams. This is, I think, actually for a Ford truck, but it looks similar enough. So I'm going to try and trace where that yellow wire goes up under the dash. I do know that it comes out here to the solenoid. Where does that one go? It goes in the harness. So that probably goes to the generator. Is this still got a generator? It's an alternator. I think it's been converted to an alternator. Yeah, I think so. Anyway. What are you doing, Stanley? You get zapped? Yeah. So somewhere this is shorting out. It sounds like, anyway. Or something that's getting power from that. So let's see if we can figure that out. Got the battery unhooked at the moment. So when I hook this to the headlight switch, we get sizzling. So it's probably not this wire itself, but something wired up to the headlight switch. So that's what we got to try and find. I'm not sure I can position the camera to do that, but anyway, I'm gonna fish it around. When I find it, I will let you know. Okay, what I'm thinking is I will go ahead and unhook everything from the headlight switch, plug this in. There's 3 wires, but I don't think it's any of those because they would be sizzling right now. I just hooked the battery back up. And we got fully charged battery because I got it on the trickle charger. So if this itself was shorting out, it would do it now. So it's something when I power the headlight switch that's shorting out. So let's unhook everything from the headlight switch and see what, one at a time, what it is. Okay, sorry, found it. It's this one here, the green, solid green, and blue with a black stripe. That's the one that is not happy. So let's see if we can figure out what that is. I'll get back to you. Okay, if this is accurate, because again, I think this is for a 56 Ford truck. I don't know, I found it online. That would be the dome light. And the sizzling noise I'm hearing sounds like it's up in here, which that would be a dome light, probably, because there's no roof. So need to look at that and see what's going on. All right, working on the bird. This is the junction block for the turn signal switch. You can see there's some that are jumpered together. So we're going to replace that old junction block, but it had these kind of connectors on it. So I'm taking these guys, cutting the blue thing off, soldering the wire to it, and then putting some shrink wrap on it. So that'll plug in to these guys. So I gotta do the turn signal switch and the other end of the car. But I'm gonna do this in the house because it's warm today. It's cold outside today and it's warm here. Okay, so like I said, took the blue thing off, just pulling it off with the pliers, and then cutting the wire down, and then we'll flex it and solder it together, and then put the shrink wrap on it. We're going to do that to all these. And you may say to me, why did you just cut the blue thing? Why'd you take the blue things off and solder them? Well, I got to bunch all of this together. Got one more to do. And feed it through the steering column. And so these would be kind of bulky and make it more difficult. It's going to be hard enough as it is. So this should be easier. Okay, these bullet connectors are a little bit loose in there, meaning kind of slide it in and out, so let me show you what I'm doing here. This is hard to do with one hand. I'm basically taking these guys, squeezing them a little bit out around. That way it's tight. That was not the best illustration, but anyway, get the idea. Okay, so this is all I could find a 57 Ford Thunderbird. This includes Fairlane, 500, 300 custom, and a Thunderbird. But this is the junction block here. This is the turn signal switch. So I've wired it up according to the turn signal switch color codes going into this junction block. I have these also, which this is the turn signal switch junction block, but it's not laid out the same. But I think matching the colors that it is, this is supposed to be 456. Anyway, now what I gotta do is go, I've basically done this side, which is the turn signal switch side. Now I gotta change the connectors on this side and do the car side. And that means I got to go out in the cold garage and do it. Okay, so I'm gonna eliminate this, which is not the right kind of junction block, and we'll look up this, which I labeled with the colors. So hopefully you can just plug them all in. We'll see. Okay, I've been going over this 57 T-Bird wire diagram. I made my own here of just the headlight switch, turn signal switch, ignition switch, stoplight switch, and then the junction that I just bought and put in, flasher. The turn signal switch to the junction block is all hooked up to the right color codes. Headlight switch, which I replaced, is all hooked up. The clock was shorted out, so I had to disconnect that. It fried the old headlight switch. It's shorted out. So it's disconnected. This blue with red wire, though, also works. Something else I can't remember. So I just unplugged it at the clock. Ignition switch all checks out. I found the orange with the yellow tracer, the fuse to the flasher. There was a blue wire plugged into it. According to this wiring diagram, it should also be orange with a yellow tracer, but it's blue, and I did find it coming out of the flasher, so I put it here. So I had these 3 wires hanging down. I didn't know what they were: white, blue, and green. So this blue one equals the orange with yellow tracer, and it's plugged in there. I don't have these 4. These 2 are green with white stripe tracer, and this is white with a blue tracer. There is one hanging down that's white with a blue tracer, but it goes up into the harness, so I don't know which one of these it is. And then I did find this up on the dash. The right turn indicator is white with blue. I just don't know if the wire hanging down is this or this. But I do have a white with blue one hanging down, but only one. And then I have the white wire, which could be the other one. I don't know. And then I have a green one, which could be one of these. And I can't find this one. There is no bulb with a green with white wire in the dash. So that one, I could make that probably. But I can't find this one. So I still gotta determine if this green wire is actually this wire. And then if this white wire is one of these 2. All right, I didn't video it, but it was a challenge getting the turn signal wiring back through there. But we got it all sorted out. I'm gonna have to tidy everything up under there, but everything works. Turn signals, brake lights, headlights. The headlight switch ran into a problem. Where's the headlight switch go? Oh, it's down here. This is the old one that's fried. And there's a little fitting that threads into it here that locks it into place there. This one has the proper threads in it. That new one that I got sitting right there does not. It won't thread in there. So I'm going to have to get a bottom tap to thread that, fix the threads on it. But headlight switch works. Everything where I got to hook up this wire to light that up when the headlights are on. They wanted me to get the radio working, so I'm going to look at that. But just a few piddly things. The steering is all done, and all the lights work. So that's done. Then got to obviously take off all the old mechanical stuff. One option kicking around is just draining the fluid and taking the belt off, so it looks factory. Just sitting here with the system on, it steers real easy with all that still in place. Wouldn't want to try and do it while the engine's running though, because the pump might fight you. But if we drain all the fluid, take the belt off, I think that would be okay. I don't know, figure it out. But that's where we're at. Just a little bit more work on the radio. I got to put the steering wheel the rest of the way on. The horn wire. Just a few piddly things. Yesterday I had some help putting the turn signal wiring through the column and sorting some of that stuff out. And I didn't think to video any of that, so apologize. But we did get the turn signal switch wiring in there and plugged in. I've still got to mount the EPAS unit, got it wired all up so it works, but I'm going to mount it up under the dash and mount the switch today, and then hopefully get the horn button sorted. And then I got to work on the radio and a few other little piddly stuff. Get the drill not to walk around. Okay. One hole. And then I'll mark the other one. Equally. Sure that'll fit through the hole I just drilled. I can make it bigger if I need to. I can't fit my arm in there and look at the same time. You. Okay. Okay. Now, to hook up the radio, I guess. I gotta still the horn. Oh, and that shifter light. Alright, so when you turn on the parking lights, the shifter light comes on. Steering works, turn signals work, indicators work, brake lights work. I don't know if reverse lights work. I can't. That may be something I still have to work on. Okay. And the horn still doesn't work. I don't know why. Alright, we got the switch mounted over here to adjust the rate. I do have to get a tap to fix this, and then we can mount the headlight switch back where it goes. But basically, the steering is all done now, so I'm going to work on the radio next. Alright, now the radio works too. I just don't have any speakers, but it works. So speaker wires are right here. So we can put some speakers in it, tidy up their AC. But my job's done, I guess. We got all the steering working, turn signals, brake lights, headlights, parking lights, shifter light, everything's working. And I popped the belt off of the power steering pump, so it is no longer going to pump any fluid. They said they would take care of that if they want to take it off or not, so not much left with to actually load her up and let them do the finishing touches on it, but there she is. I hate to see her go, but it was a fun project. Thanks for watching.